Hey,
we're
what's
the
up?
Dolly Rots. I'm Kelly.
I'm Lewis.
And you are watching
New Rock City.
Are you ready? I'm taking you for a ride. Get your passport, fly friendly skies. Where we're going, you can't be lonely. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm your travel guide.
Hey YouTube, welcome to New Rock City. I'm your host Stephen Moss, and each week we bring you a brand new band, interview them, and play some of their music videos. Today we got a very special guest. It's the start of season 2, and we're going to kick it off with a bang. We got Kelly and Lewis from the Dolly Rots. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You
What's
got
up,
it.
man?
You guys have an incredible history. Due to time, I'm going to try to keep it short. So what I thought I would do is kind of summarize the band, and then we can talk about a couple highlights, and whatever we don't have time for, those at home can Google it. Sound good?
Yeah, go to Wikipedia.
There you go.
We need to update that, or somebody needs to update that for us.
It's not our job.
So to summarize the band, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you've been in the music industry for over 20 years.
Yikes,
You've-
how's that possible?
It's true.
You have played over 1,500 shows.
At least. It might be more at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or 17, 18.
We're pushing.
Might be
Yeah.
pushing too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've played Warped Tour 12 times.
Oh, that seems about right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You have 1 live album, 1 acoustic album, 7 studio albums, 1 concert DVD.
Holy smokes,
Yeah.
dude.
It's
Like-
weird when you put it that way.
Is that all correct so far?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Okay, good deal.
I'm kind of
Um,
impressed with this band, that's all.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now, you guys are married, and you have been friends since you were 12 years old.
Mhm.
You have 2 awesome kids.
Yeah.
And Kelly, you were in a side band with Jarrett from Bowling for Soup called Jarrett and Kelly.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys even had the privilege to do the theme song to the ABC show Schooled.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And lastly, Kelly, you also have a SiriusXM radio show that you host every Monday through Friday.
Yes.
There we
Yeah.
go. So does
Yeah.
that sound good? That covers all the highlights, right?
Oh, I feel like we did
Hey,
a good
look,
job.
Yeah,
Look at us.
we're busy or something.
No wonder we're tired.
Very cool. So that's the highlights. But the first thing I wanted to ask you about, Kelly, was so I read that you were born in Jersey and moved to outside of Tampa when you were young.
Yes.
And I myself was born in Jersey and moved when I was 1 years old to Plant City, Florida.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So that's where I grew up.
Whoa.
I wanted to know if you have ever gone to the Strawberry Festival.
Of course. Yeah.
that's awesome.
I've gone to You Pick Strawberries and Parkdale, the strawberry
Parksdale.
market,
Oh, that's so cool. I was going to bring that out because they have
Yeah.
the best strawberry milkshakes.
and the creepiest bunnies. Like Easter Bunny, you take your picture with the Easter Bunny there. Oh, I'll
That's
send
awesome.
a picture for you to show. Yeah.
All right, we'll have to throw that up there. That's awesome. But Lewis, you moved from Texas to Florida,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where the band's story starts. So that's where I wanted to pick up. So
Sure.
you guys were in the 8th grade when you met, and one thing I found that was kind of amazing is that, Lewis, I read that even in the 8th grade, you knew you wanted to marry Kelly. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. From like the second I saw her, it was weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like my parents. I was born in South America. I was born in Ecuador.
Oh,
then
cool.
my parents came to Texas when I was 2, and then when I was in middle school, they moved to Florida, and I ended up in Land O'Lakes, this little town in the middle of many cow fields and trailer parks. And yeah, my first day of school, it was like we were a few days in. There was like some sort of like school
It's like a
fair,
fair, like a
type thing.
sidewalk fair or something.
Yeah, it was an outdoor thing,
Yeah.
and there were booths and stuff like that. And yeah, it was the first time I ever saw her. She's just walking down this hallway, and I'm like, "Who's that girl?" Like, I love her. I'm in love with her. And yeah, and like obviously, everyone loved Kelly. I was the new kid. It took a while for me to like worm my way in, and by a while, I mean like 4 years. And then gradually, I just like kept bugging her and kept bugging her and kept bugging her, and so finally, by senior year, like 4 years later, she finally decided that she wanted
I
to,
wanted to give
to
it a
hang,
try.
to hang out with me. But
That's
that was
awesome.
definitely persistence,
Yeah.
man.
The thing was, I needed someone to teach me how to play guitar, and he was the kid that would like bring a guitar to school. And I knew he liked rock and roll, and he was always wearing like grunge band t-shirts and listen to Nine Inch Nails. And I was like, man, that guy's way cooler than me, but maybe he could teach me how to play guitar. And so once he started teaching me guitar and we started like hanging out together, just the two of us, I sort
And
of
you
fell
didn't
for
think
him.
I was such a creepy weirdo.
Yeah, you're still a weirdo, but not creepy.
That's awesome. No, I totally get that. I
Yeah.
met my wife on January 31st. We started dating February 11th. I proposed March 24th.
Oh,
And we
wow.
got married June 18th.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just know. I get it.
Celebrate. I mean, I would have married her in 8th grade if it was like in the, if it was socially acceptable.
Yeah. I
but-
mean, by the time we were 17, we were like, yeah, we're getting married.
yeah.
That's cool.
So it worked out. I mean, sometimes you just know these things, you
Yeah.
know, and we're okay with like advising people to follow their puppy love, obviously, because
Yeah.
to not be that way, to not have that attitude would be like totally hypocritical,
That's
So-
awesome. So that's how the band met. And when I was reading articles about your band, the word lucky kept popping up a lot. And I kind of didn't really agree with that because when researching your band, there was a theme that I kept seeing. And that's what I wanted to bring out for everyone. So I wanted to fast forward to the year 2000. After the presidential election, you took a major step in the band's history. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So we were in Florida. We were at a little liberal arts college named New College, and enough of our peers voted for Ralph Nader that Al Gore lost the election and Bush won. And it was kind of this moment of
I mean, like literally,
literally,
if everyone from our school had voted for Gore,
then we
he
would have had
won.
Oh, wow.
like it is literally that.
So,
So we had a serious crushing moment of, what is this world gonna be like? Do we want to go to grad school or do we want to go experience life? Because what if the idiot bombs somewhere and we all die?
and lo and behold,
And-
like a year later.
Yeah. So, it pushed us to think about what we really, really wanted for the future. We were on a path. Like I was going to grad school, he was going to med school.
Yeah, and like she had her GREs the day.
Yeah, I was
scheduled.
supposed to wake up morning after the election and take my GRE exam, and I just never went.
Oh, wow.
She was just like,
I
nope.
was like, I'm not doing it.
And then I was
like, I'm
supposed
not
to be
gonna do
like
it.
going to med school, and I just didn't follow up on any of the like
Applications and
interviews and-
interviews.
and yeah, and after all that preparation in college to kind of be on that path
Yeah,
and
I mean,
continue,
we both have bio
Which-
degrees.
we did
That's
that,
amazing.
but that was kind of the defining
Yeah.
moment where it was like, all right, well, what are we going to do? The world is like obviously not going to be a place that we want to live in, like normal society.
Yeah,
And
so we were like, do
so-
we want to be world A or world B? And we chose world B, and we have repeatedly chosen world B over and over again.
Yeah.
So that's what we call it. At least.
And also, we don't like waking up in the morning.
no,
So that was like another.
we don't like having bosses.
Yeah, we don't like
we
it.
don't like anyone telling us what to do. Hence, very few managerial situations in our band. It's
So that we do.
we had to forge a path.
We did feel it was not. I mean, at the time, it was definitely like there was naivety and there was like this like sense of sort of this idealism of
Yeah.
like, okay, we're gonna take this step and we're gonna do it and we're gonna do our music and we're gonna move to
So we're moving
California.
to
And we're
California.
gonna, even though we've only played 5 shows, but no, we're moving to California.
I mean, the band was not good at that point,
yeah.
But
Well, that's exactly where I was getting at because I read, like you said, 5, 12, whatever, very little shows at the time, but you took that step. You moved to LA, and I read that you drove out with only $3,000 from your wedding
Yeah.
to live in a studio apartment with a friend and a lot of animals. Is that correct?
Yeah, we took our pets. That's all we had. We had our guitars, our pets, two
these
boxes,
2 bins of clothing.
these 2
that we
like
still
Walmart
have.
bins,
Yeah.
of clothes, and
And line 6 amps. We
And-
had these little
Oh,
line 6
crappy
amps.
little line 6 amps, and yeah, a 6-foot iguana, a cat,
Prairie
a
dog,
prairie dog,
a scorpion,
yeah,
a tarantula.
All in a studio apartment.
all in our friend's studio.
Oh, there you go.
We were crashing on the floor.
Before we could find our own studio apartment. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and that was in, we got the only thing we could afford was obviously in the middle of like Koreatown next to MacArthur Park, which isn't the best neighborhood you could
Gotcha.
choose to move to from, suburbs of Florida.
Yeah.
But
But the thing is we also wanted to move somewhere else to experience life somewhere else, to grow as people. And, you know, if we could do music at the same time, that would be great. But we did have, you know, our degrees. So we, you know, we were able to get like entry level jobs while we started playing shows and learning how to be a band.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, we worked every day and every night, you know,
Yeah.
like we busted our butts.
Yeah,
And it was really fun.
It was like we'd have our day jobs and then we'd go and watch bands.
We'd go to shows
We'd
almost
watch
every
a lot
night.
of bands in LA. And that's what LA gave us. It gave us the
Yeah.
opportunity to be part of a real big musical community where we could pick, all right, we want to be a part of this scene or that
Yeah.
scene or whatever, and support other bands, create a community out there, or help create a community, and just see a ton of music, because the only way you get better is by being around it. You know?
Gotcha.
I mean, you can watch as
You
many.
got to absorb a lot. I
You can
think.
watch YouTube tutorials, or you could like
You go
play
to
guitar in your room all
music
day long.
school. Like, I'm going to be in a band school. But
But really, the best thing you can do is just go to shows.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's what LA did for us. And we weren't scared, man. We actually wanted to be scared.
yeah.
Like we wanted something to frighten us, because like we had lived such a like idyllic sort of like, we had such a,
comfortable. We had very good, wonderful, comfortable upbringings.
and I think we just wanted to like feel that energy, you know, something, you know, be put on edge a little bit. We
Mhm.
felt like that would challenge us as like people and musicians, you know.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Artists. I hate using the word artists, but that's what people say.
Well, no, I love that story because, and that's where I was getting at the beginning of the show. That story kind of lays the foundation of what we're going to talk about throughout the show. How you guys really doubled down, you took risk, and you really pushed yourself out of the comfort zone to make this band work. So
Yeah,
that's
pretty much our
Yeah.
life path is we do the thing that we're not ready to do next, and we always say yes and then figure it out afterwards.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, like
Um,
you put yourself in a position where you can't go backwards,
Yeah,
right? 'Cause
which
once-
is terrifying over and over and over, but we are a partnership, and so I think that did give us more power to push ourselves.
yeah, because if one of us is down, then the other one can be like,
It's like,
Your
nope,
ass
nope,
up.
nope, nope. You gotta do it. You're gonna
You
let
know?
me down.
so.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that's it. It all kind of goes together, you know, like being able to back each other up, and also not being afraid to, you know, make a promise that we're going to do something that maybe we're not quite prepared for, like
Yeah.
at the time.
when you got to LA, the next thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that you never had the attitude that some gigs were beneath you.
Oh,
And
no.
because of that, you got your first big break. What can you tell us about the Hewlett Packard Share Your Story campaign and how you were picked for that?
Okay, I'll try to make this as
Yeah, you
brief as
do it
possible.
because you'll be fast.
So here's the thing. So we were playing a bunch of shows. We'd take any show. We'd play any bar. Like it was just like, let us play.
Within a drive that meant we could get back to LA in time to go to work at
So-
7 a.m.
So we'd play in Orange County. We'd play in San Diego. We'd play in Hollywood. We'd play in
Riverside.
We'd play wherever would
Yeah.
take us, because it was just like we just wanted to get
Encinitas.
we just want to get shows under our belts. One of the places we played was the Joint in like West LA, like Culver City area, whatever. And it was kind of like not really a rock bar, you know. They just would
It
let
wasn't super hip
it wasn't
either.
yeah, it wasn't
It
super
was like a
hipster,
trendy.
but they were nice and they let us
Gotcha.
play their bar. And one night we were playing and a guy was there with his girlfriend,
Mhm.
and he came up to us after the show and he's like, hey, I really like your band. If you ever need someone to record you, I have a recording studio. We were like, all right, sure, let's go try it out, because we
Yeah.
needed to record at that point. We needed
We
a
needed
real
a
demo.
proper demo because we had a demo that we had recorded in Florida, but it wasn't.
Well, it kind of sucked, but we were still selling it. Even though
Yeah.
It had like 20
It has
songs on
20
it.
songs on it. There's a lot there with it. Every now and then
Yeah.
I'll see a picture and I'm like, oh my God.
Anyway, so we needed a real demo. So we ended up going to his studio and recorded. And it turned out that his girlfriend worked for like a cool kind of semi-prominent independent publishing company. So we recorded it. He showed it to his girlfriend. She's like, oh my God, these songs are great.
Showed
We
it to other people.
showed
in
it to other
office.
people at the publishing company, and they like were interested, because it was like, oh, who's this cute little band with these like kind of like
Muppet children in front.
there's this cute little band with these like kind of like catchy pop punk songs, you know? And so, she had like this even higher pitched voice,
Yeah.
it was, I can understand why they would think, oh, this is like different,
Yeah.
One day, we weren't even signed to the publisher yet, but they called us out of the blue and they were like, hey, if you can get to West LA in an hour and a half, we want you should try out for this thing. And they didn't tell us what it was, So we got our guitars, got in the car, met our drummer over there at the time, went to a waiting room, and there were like other bands
There were a couple other bands that
Oh,
we
wow.
knew
that we had
too,
played with.
that we had played
before.
with. It
Oh,
was
that's cool.
So we're
it
all
was-
like, what are we
it was
doing?
like a casting call
Yeah.
that went out to all the little LA bands. And then so we're waiting, and then it was our turn. And they let us into this like conference room. It was just like an office space
Yeah.
with a table set up
There's a drum kit.
and then a back line.
Yeah, there's a back
And
line.
they're like, all right, well, play us your most garage band
song.
raw song. And we were like, we're going to play Feed Me Pet Me. So we did.
I think
And
we also, then they're like, do you have another one? And we played Jackie Chan.
I think we played Skinny.
Oh, okay.
And so they were like, all right,
They're like,
great.
thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Next.
Oh, man.
And so we left and we went home. We figured, well, I don't know what that was, but
Yeah.
I guess we didn't get it.
Mhm.
Whatever, And
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing with music and living in LA and all that stuff. You constantly get shot down.
There were a lot of things we tried to do and failed, like didn't get or
Yeah, so-
were not invited to.
So one out of every
Yeah.
50 times, it'll go your way, but you just got to keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so we just kind of like were resigned to ourselves that it
But I
wasn't
guess we
going
failed that test.
So about 45 minutes later, we're still in the car driving home because it takes an hour and a half to get anywhere in LA. And we got a call and it was like, hey, do you guys want to be part of the Hewlett Packard ad campaign for this new like product they're unveiling? And can you be in Hollywood tomorrow at 4 p.m. to record the song and do a outfit fitting or like whatever? We were like, yeah.
That's so cool.
And so we did. So we showed up the next day, and
At Capitol Records Studio B.
which was the
Wow.
fanciest recording studio we'd ever been in. It's like you walk in, it's like downstairs, the
Yeah,
Capitol
there was
building.
some serious imposter syndrome happening.
Yeah, we're just
We're
like walking, and
oh,
we're like,
no.
yes, this
There's
is
what is
where we
happening.
they're gonna figure out we don't belong here. You're like walking down the hall. There's like pictures of Frank Sinatra and the Beatles and stuff. You're like,
Wow.
and the suits were there. The
Gotcha.
HP like executives were in the control room, and they had us play the song, and they only needed 30 seconds.
Yeah, and then it had to sound crappy. So
So,
we were done and
well, we played it, and they were like, "Can you make it sound worse?"
yeah. Like literally.
We're like,
That's,
okay, we'll
That's
do
hilarious.
it again. Except this time we'll play it even more sloppy and bad. Like, it's like,
we were secretly drinking too.
oh
Like
yeah.
we had I had a bottle of whiskey in my
I had, like,
backpack.
vodka,
and
like, I'm nervous. Yeah, they were like, more feedback. Okay, sure. I'll just like,
Yeah.
And so we finished that in about an hour.
No, Dodger.
Oh, is he eating the fucking headphones?
Oh no.
It's okay. I needed to buy replacement parts anyway of that.
Oh, that sucks.
I thought he was chewing his thing.
Great job, Dodger.
Thanks, Bob.
I'll just finish this while she's doing that. Oh,
All right.
I'll just wait, actually. I can't believe he ate the $100 headphones.
No, it's okay. It's just the earpiece.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Keep talking.
How are we going to record? You're going to have to go get the ones from the other studio.
All right, keep talking.
What? No, I'm waiting for you. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we were done in about an hour, and then they were like, all right, we got what we needed, but we have the studio until midnight. If you guys want,
You guys want to play
you guys
around
want to
in here?
jam. And we were
We're
like,
like jam.
so they left, and it was like, the guy who turned out to be John Fields, who
Our
has
producer
been our
forever.
producer since then. John turns to us. He's like, you ready to record? We were like, yep. And we busted through 12 songs in 4 hours.
Man.
And
And many were in one take, right?
well,
Yeah.
most of them were in one take because we had no
That's awesome.
time.
Yeah.
So we would play the song, all of us, all the way through.
Drums, bass, guitar.
Drums, bass, guitar. Then Kelly would run into the control
Naughty
room.
Boy.
Kelly, don't get distracted by him. Kelly would run into the control room and sing while I played the second guitar.
Oh man.
Right. And so we just did that 12 times in a row, and that became the first album. Like, and we didn't know it at the time, but the thing is, like, us and Fields, there's just like a magic, and it happened. like there, like, and we've been working together ever since. Here we are, like, 18 years later, and we're still
Really?
working with Fields. Yeah.
Man, we could have had a baby with Fields that would be a legal adult.
Yeah. I mean, like it is 18, like 18 years. I mean, he's still he understands us. Like,
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
the other band member for the two of us. When we write, we do it all in here, and Lewis records the main tracks and everything, and then we go see John in person, and
Yeah.
we finish albums together. And we don't even have to speak half the time. We can kind of grunt and point, and it's just really easy to communicate, and we just know what we're gonna do and what he's gonna do, and he knows how far to push us. And
well, he also can tell us when like something we're doing is wrong
yeah,
or bad.
he's amazing.
Or
He's
bad
such
music.
an awesome
He has
musician.
such an ear for music
That's
that
cool.
we just don't have. So he's able to push us and make us better. And that interaction led to that relationship. And
Yeah, it was pretty major.
that was kind of on accident. And you can call it luck, but it was also like
We were totally ready.
we were so
Well, that's what I wanted to get at next, and that's what I love about that story, because you could have gone home, like when they're like,
Yeah.
"All right, we're done," but not only that, you stayed, but you were prepared. So that shows you guys must have been working on your songs all the time,
Yeah.
because you were able to just at the drop of a hat record an album, like
Yeah.
no hesitation, no practice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's incredible.
and it was like actually we recorded
I think it was 14.
no, we recorded 16.
Yeah.
We recorded 16 because like we had B-sides.
Yeah.
Like
They're on the
and yeah,
The
that was the
vinyl.
thing. We just recorded as many songs as we
Gotcha.
could but before like time ran out.
That's awesome.
And it was just like, all right, let's try this one. All right, let's
we
try
were the last people leaving Capitol Records that night. We have a picture of
Um,
us in front.
But yeah, I mean, just I wouldn't be able to do that today because we're not in the mode of like playing shows and every night, whatever. That's just not our life now. But
Yeah.
at the time,
We lived the music, we were in that rehearsal space, dirty, hot, sweaty rehearsal space in Vernon, California, like every night that we were in at a show.
So I actually wanted to share that commercial so everyone can see it. So this is what started it all. So here's the HP commercial featuring the Dolly Rods.
Welcome to HP Digital Photography. HP. Invent.
All right, and welcome back to the show, everyone. In episode 10, I had David Alexander on the show, and he's the lead singer of the band Carousel Kings. And we talked about how when he started his band, the defining moment for them as to when the band made it was playing Warped Tour. You guys have played Warped Tour about 12 times, but keeping with your theme of hustling, I read that you would show up to Warped Tour shows unannounced and offer to work for the chance to be on stage. Is that true?
Yeah, we did that our first
Wow.
couple years.
Yeah.
Well, what we would do, the first year we just played a few dates, right? We
Okay.
played like the girls stage, but it was the Sheer Girls stage, which Sheer's
It
still
was
around
pretty
doing
awesome.
stuff. And it was like, oh
I
my
mean, we
God.
played it with Paramore, who were babies.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so it was just the young girl stage.
Right. So
Gotcha.
the like baby band girl stage. Anyway, so what happened was the following year we were given, Kevin Lyman gave us like 5 dates or something like that. And we ended up, I think, in Phoenix, and the tour was going to Albuquerque or something the next day. And Doug is still causing trouble.
No, he's 4 months old. So
And one of the guys who was working the stage that we were playing was like, hey, if you guys want to just show up tomorrow, you could probably play if you just want to like help out with the stage a little bit or whatever.
yeah, he's
That's
like,
amazing.
And-
we'll tell Kevin you're working and see if anybody doesn't show tomorrow and you can fill in. Over
Yeah, and
here
you
or
could
something.
maybe take their slot. And we were like, wait, so are we gonna drive like 9 hours to Albuquerque
just
right
in
now?
case.
Just in
Okay?
And we were like, yep.
Then we did.
Wow.
But we also felt like if we actually showed up and we actually did help set up the stage, that there's no way they could be like, no, you're not gonna play. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
he kind of said it with a wink. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
if you
gotcha.
show up, we're gonna find a place for you to play.
Yeah. And
That's so cool.
we drove overnight to Albuquerque, showed up, and at 7 a.m. we were helping like
And by we drove, we were in a van, just 4 of us. It was like us, our drummer, and Fuzzy, our merch girl, who lives right here outside the door now.
yeah.
And you know, all these other bands are in buses and they have drivers or they're in RVs. We are in a van and no sleep happens, you know, sleep under the table during the day at the church table.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we showed up the next day. We set up the stage. They let us play, and then we were like, "All right, I
Are we
guess
gonna
we're
do
going
this
to the
again?"
next one." And we did
We're
that.
like, see you tomorrow,
And we
guys.
Oh,
stayed on the
that's-
tour for
that's
like
amazing.
3-4 weeks, like just doing that.
Yeah, and
And-
Kevin Lyman knew, you know, and so we started to show up on the schedule, and then
nice.
you know there was a tent called the Sugar Hooker tent. It was
Something like that.
Jera, and there were 3 stages that we would get moved around, and
They just find a home for us every day.
I was like, oh, the Dolly Rots are back. But you know, they didn't even, a lot of the time we didn't even get food tickets, and
Gotcha.
we didn't have real passes, so we weren't allowed to use like the locker rooms and shower or any of that.
Oh, wow.
Like we
Yeah.
didn't that first time, like we weren't really allowed to be there. They didn't, like, we weren't even backstage. We were
But
just,
you know what, dude? We still
we
get
did it anyway.
we still get messages from people that saw us on
Oh,
the
yeah.
2005 Warped Tour that like
Yeah.
have been fans ever since.
That's
And so,
amazing.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's
it,
so cool.
it was worth it, but it was definitely like a gamble,
it was psycho
and it was also crazy.
and so much fun.
And it was
but-
also like we like told our jobs back in LA. It was like, yeah,
Called them.
not coming in.
They're like, not gonna be there.
And they didn't fire us either.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing with I mean, I think part of the thing, like the jobs, part of the thing at Warped Tour, I mean, people know that we work hard, whatever we do. It's still, you know, we're hard workers, but we're also really nice people, and you know, I feel like that did help us to get further. You know, it's not like
Sure.
we're being jerks out there. You know, I mean, if we were jerks in the world, we wouldn't have gotten so
well,
far.
well, but also like it's not like we were trying to shove bands out of our way to like
no,
get to do something.
ever.
You know, like
There's
we
enough
never-
room if you're good enough.
Yeah, we never had that philosophy. So it's
No.
not we like at no point. Well, maybe at certain points because some things are out of your control. But our intent was never to like put somebody down so we could be up
No,
or whatever.
Yeah.
So our
we would always help. If
our bridges
possible.
burned are very few and far between. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just love the attitude that you guys have of making your own opportunities, and that's what I wanted to keep bringing out. Because it didn't just stop at playing Warped Tour. One thing I thought was cool is, Kelly, when you were talking about how you saw Joan Jett a few times, and eventually you mustered up the courage to go talk to her, give her a demo CD. What was going through your head at that point?
Well, I was terrified because, like, I was like, you don't just walk up to Joan Jett, you know. Oh, he's eating my shoes.
Oh, no.
I was terrified, you know. I looked up to her my entire life. You know, she's the first woman I can think of seeing playing an instrument, being on
Gotcha.
stage with that like presence and power. And I was like, oh, I'm terrified of her. And I knew she was nice though, you know, she was
Yeah.
like all about PETA at that point. And, you know, I watched her play all the time. You can tell. But you know, what happened is our first album, we self-released that when we recorded at Capitol Records. And then it got picked up by Lookout's imprint, Panic Button. And so then Lookout fell apart. Panic Button was no longer. And we had already recorded what would become Because I'm Awesome.
Oh, it's like you had that
It was just,
You had that ready to go.
prop.
and so we had a demo of Because I'm Awesome and no label. And we were on Warped Tour giving away this demo. And I was like, man, we got to get it out to a few people. You know, we're going to have to pass it off, or, you know, we can just put it out ourselves again. But this was before
Crowdsourcing.
Yeah,
or
before it was
whatever.
very easy to do that. It was the very early days of the internet.
Like we would have to like save all our
You know.
pennies to put out this record, and we just didn't really.
Yeah, there
have
was
that,
no
like-
distro, no digital distro you
Gotcha.
could do by yourself. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't, we really needed a label at that point. And so I gave it to Fat Mike and Joan Jett. And I was like, you know, here's our newest demo. We're looking for a label. You know, if you like it, you know, let us know. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm standing there watching her, Joan Jett, and I it's like my legs started walking before my
Oh,
body
wow.
was ready. It's like I'm like, oh, like the most awkward handoff I think in the world. But then she said, "Oh, I love your band. You know, I've been watching you from the back. You know, all
Oh,
summer."
that's cool.
And so she had been watching us play, and somebody sent us a message like 2 weeks ago, and they said that they saw us come play at the Knitting Factory, and that was the time that they met Joan Jett.
which we didn't even
We
know
didn't
about.
even know she was
I mean,
there. So
apparently-
she had
wow.
seen our
Like,
band,
we were on her radar anyway,
but we didn't know.
But we didn't know. And
That's
and the
awesome.
song that we had recorded, it was supposed to be a demo.
Yeah,
But like 3 weeks later, we got a call from her label,
Blackheart.
from Blackheart, and they were like, "Hey, we really liked the CD you gave us because it was basically a full-length album
Yeah.
worth of music.
That's-
Do you want to meet Joan she's playing at the Morongo Casino tonight?"
Which is east of Los
Which is-
Angeles by
right.
about an hour. It was your birthday.
Yeah, it was my birthday,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Yeah, I'll go see Joan."
Like, yeah,
Jett."
we'll go see Joan.
That's awesome.
So we went. They had us at the show. We walked
They
backstage,
bring us backstage. It was us and Carmen Electra.
and we're just like starstruck because it's like, "Oh my
Like,
god,
oh my
we're
God,
gonna meet
this
Joan
is so
Jett for
weird."
real."
Yeah.
So they bring us backstage, and basically they were like, "Hey, we'd like to sign
We'd
you."
like to offer
We'd
you
like
a
to
deal with
offer you-
Blackheart.
Yeah, I was
Records.
like, they're from Long Island,
That's awesome.
and we were our jaws dropped, obviously.
We were like, yeah.
Yes, and
Like,
then.
we didn't know what the terms were or anything, but they were
No,
fair.
we
It was
just said
fine.
yes. I mean, we're driving back from that. I mean, the casino's out in the middle of the desert. We're
Oh
driving
my
home.
God.
I'm just like,
I
yeah.
was like, happy birthday to you.
And so we were just so
Yeah.
excited, and it turned out they didn't even want us to re-record anything.
No,
They,
Oh wow.
they were just
we
they-
just added a few things.
we added
to
a
some
couple
of the tracks
background
and-
vocals, and it was really minimal. And for all intents and purposes, what we gave them was the album. All they did was like master it and put it in a nice like package, and
Yep.
we were ready to go. So we gave them like a ready to go album.
Yeah.
That's
And-
cool.
So again, like we were ready to, like we had already been working.
And
already-
we
like-
we actually got a loan from Lewis's dad to
Yeah.
make this record, not having an idea if we were going to be able to pay it
yeah,
back.
I owed
You
my
know,
dad.
we owed him $7,500.
I owed my dad, which we paid back.
which we paid back. Everything.
Yeah. So I mean, we had already
But
gone out
we
on a
already
limb.
like went out on a limb. We're like, all right, well, we're gonna make a record. We have to make a record, even if we don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
that was that was already done
Yeah.
before we had the chance to give Joan something.
Oh, see, that's interesting because I must have gotten my stuff wrong. Because when I was reading, I read that you went on Fat Mike's tour bus from Salt
was the
Lake
same
out to
night.
Denver,
That was the
and
same
then
night.
on the way back, you weren't sure if you were like at that point you didn't have a label or anything. So
No,
is that
it's true.
correct?
That is
Okay,
true.
that is correct. Okay,
on the same day, I gave all three of them CDs.
gotcha.
So yeah, that night, me and our drummer Amy rode on the No Effects bus from Salt Lake City to Denver, while Lewis and Fuzzy had followed behind the bus, praying that
They,
nothing
like-
terrible
They
would
like
happen to us.
ditched me and like got to ride on a bus. You know how long that drive is from
It's
Denver to Salt
awful,
Lake?
and Fuzzy
It's
doesn't drive.
500 miles.
Oh,
So we
man.
play all
500 miles
day.
by myself overnight, man.
It was terrible. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, Fat Mike got it at the same time. Joan
yeah.
got it, but he had different opinions about what we should be.
What our band should be.
Gotcha.
He wanted Kelly to be
He
kind
pretty much said that I needed to be more of a dude and
Oh,
more, just like that my stage presence was too like sweet and not
Gotcha.
commanding enough. And, it's kind of strange because now I realize like he just wanted us to be the Bomb Pops.
yeah.
He wanted me to make fart jokes and sex jokes and put my
Gotcha.
crotch out there. I love the Bomb Pops. But like that's what he was saying that I needed to do, but that wasn't me.
Gotcha.
I wanted to just be me.
I mean,
and
if you want to be the Distillers or whatever, that's great.
that's
but
different.
That's not.
But that's not
that's not
but
us.
that's not
like
you.
I've never
like
I don't like musical theater. I don't like bands, synchronized dancing. I don't like a Broadway-ish rock show. I like my rock and roll to just be the people emoting and performing their songs as viscerally and truthfully as possible. I don't want it rehearsed. I don't
Gotcha.
like, I just want it to be rock and roll. The showbiz thing, is not real for me. Like, I can't bring myself to do it.
It's
So
like,
it was asking me to act on stage.
right. But if
Which
that's
I
who-
don't
that's
like.
who you are.
That's
then,
fine.
Then it works.
I mean, I like some
Yeah,
bands
there-
that do that, of course, but
there's
Sure.
some
No, I got you.
it wasn't me.
that's who they are, and that's like great.
And people
but,
love it.
but that's not us.
No.
So yeah, he passed on us, which is fine
Gotcha.
because Joan didn't. And
I still don't know if Laura Jane Grace ever listened.
And the next national thing I thought was pretty cool for you guys was you got on a Kohl's commercial.
yeah.
How did that come about?
Oh my God. Okay, this is weird. We were so we
Well, it
signed.
was being played on Underground.
Yes, which is funny. So
Yeah.
we signed to Blackheart, and Blackheart knew various
Joan Jett
people.
had a show on Little Steven's Underground Garage on Sirius XM, where I now have a show. But they were playing the song Because I'm Awesome on Underground Garage, and this guy who worked in advertising heard the song
from
and
Jersey.
from Jersey.
Oh, right on.
My cousin actually babysat his kids, but we didn't figure that out for like a year. So this guy heard the songs, listening casually on his commute to work in the city, and he was working on the back to school campaign. He was like, "This is the song," and so he reached out to the publishing company, which we had signed to at that point, and they were like, "Hey, I want to use Because I'm Awesome for a back to school campaign."
And then they were like, and plus, you're gonna
and
be
you're
in the
going to be in
commercial.
the commercial. And we were like, what? And it all happened like really fast. It was amazing. I mean, they're like, we're on tour and they're like flying us to Vancouver to film like
So,
a commercial. I showed up and I looked like
Well,
really tour.
we had a tour booked,
touring.
and it was like a bunch of little tiny punk venues and stuff like that. And we had to cancel a few dates to accommodate this like filming. And the place that we were supposed to play, we were kind of pissed. Is like, what do you mean you're not playing the Climax in Denver or whatever?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, our tour ended up in like St. Louis, and we straight up just flew to Vancouver, and we've been in a band at that point for like 6 weeks.
For weeks.
So we look like garbage. Like we're just like
we were rough. We showed up like my roots were like this long.
like punk band on tour. Like you could just
Which was
see
cool.
like covered with layers of sweat that's just dried.
We probably smelled horrible. But we show up and they're like,
We showed up and like the whatever, the makeup and costume
the
people.
makeup and yeah.
Actually there was a buffet set up.
Oh, that's true. We went
walked
straight
onto
for
the
the
set
buffet.
and we were just like rodents, like go straight to the buffet and eating all the chips and stuff. They thought we
We're
were
starving.
They thought we were monsters. Anyway, then they see us and they're like, quickly whisked us away from the advertising people and took us to a trailer.
They
and
sent
started,
me,
like,
yeah. They had a car come pick me up and take me to a hair salon where they did my
Oh,
hair.
that's
It was
awesome.
like in emergency. They like bleached, like fixed my roots and like
that's
they had
funny.
somebody like do my
They
hair
brought
with the
like
diffuser.
all new clothes.
all new clothes.
They're like hair, makeup, and a bath.
Clothes that looked like our clothes were purchased
I know.
and brought to
I
the
know
set.
they wanted to like hose us down, and they just
It was so
it was that
funny.
close to just like a full hosing.
But along
That's
the
awesome.
lines, they didn't understand that we were a punk band. They also didn't understand that the song was taking a piss at having any self-esteem. Like
Gotcha.
the song is sarcastic, but they thought it was look
Like a
at me,
self-empowering
I'm
thing.
awesome. And then like we show up and we're all crusty and cynical.
Yeah.
And it's like
They didn't
They're
know
like,
it was a
"Oh."
punk band. They thought we were like a pop.
Pop band, gotcha.
They thought we were like Avril Lavigne or something like that. And it was like that's not who
It's
you're,
like,
you're
no.
dealing with here.
but
That's
it was too
awesome.
late to turn back, I'm sure. So
Yeah, so we did the taping, and it was like a national ad campaign, and so it was like their back to school campaign. So that commercial aired over and over, and in the stores, the song
the
played.
poor employees at Kohl's
Employees-
hate that.
We're getting like hate mail from the employees.
They're like,
I'm
"It's
so
all
sorry.
yours. Oh my God."
it was like on like MySpace. So these people would send us like messages on MySpace.
Yeah.
I hate your song. It plays 30 times a day. I'm so tired. It's like, I'm so sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that
I actually remember the commercial. I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm gonna play that so everyone knows what we're talking about. So here is the Kohl's commercial featuring the Dolly Rods.
I've got the new style, and I'm walking right down your street. I'm on your speed dial, you know, the one everyone wants to meet. I'm a leader, I'm a winner, and I'm cleaner, 'cause I'm awesome. I don't need you, 'cause I'm neato, and I beat you, 'cause I'm awesome. That's right.
And welcome back to the show. So as we talked about, that commercial features the song Because I'm Awesome. I wanted to play that video as well. What can you tell us about that video?
Man, it was really fun.
well,
and
we
I
got
was really hungover.
we were approached by Michelle Oz, who's I think Frank Oz's daughter.
No,
And
or
and she
niece
was niece. She's related.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
of the Muppets.
it was kind of like she kind of reached out to us out of nowhere, and we were looking for somebody to do a video for Because I'm Awesome.
Yeah.
She lived in LA. We went out and had like margaritas or something like that, and we just kind of discussed concepts, right? And at the time, American Idol kind of had just started, and it was like a big deal, and we had kind of like a budget limitation on this video. So
it was the
it
first
was
time
like-
we had any budget.
But I mean, it was
No.
a real
It
budget.
was Blackheart Records.
but we're
like,
not
paid
talking
for
like a $50,000 budget. We're talking like a fraction of that, right?
Gotcha.
But we wanted to make a really good video. And Chris, our drummer, came up with a genius idea of
Yeah.
like, hey, if we did an American Idol thing, then we can just use just one room, like in a hotel or something like
Yeah.
that. And it would be like really easy. And he knew all these actor friends, and we had actor friends. And then we put out like a call for like
Yeah.
fans as extras. And that whole video came together with the help of like friends and fans in like one room in
Yeah.
like a Hyatt
What was
or
it,
something.
It's
Or
the
the Ramada?
something Garland. It's right where like the
Oh,
101.
Yeah, the Hilton Garden Inn.
Hilton Garden Inn or
or-
Garland.
I don't know.
It's like Judy Garland. I
You can
guess.
see
I
it
don't
down,
know.
if you're going down the 101. It's just like a regular old hotel, but they
Yeah.
have like a conference room.
Gotcha.
And because that's what they did at
Yeah.
the time. They would just set up in a conference room. So we did the same thing. And again, the video is just taking the piss out of American Idol.
Because it was stupid.
It was like, what is this? So yeah, that was the concept behind that. And yeah, I wish we
Yeah.
had a high.
The reason
def
we were
version.
hungover though, remember it was the Rodney Bingenheimer star ceremony the night before.
Oh yeah, Rodney's star was
Like Rodney Bingenheimer was the first one to play us on the radio, and like
Oh, cool.
he's always been like a really a big supporter of our band, and you know, so his like star ceremony on the Walk of Fame was like the day before, so we went and did that, and then there was a show, and I got to introduce Clem Burke to introduce Rodney. I was supposed to introduce Rodney, but then Clem Burke decided he wanted to do it, and so he, you know, took that away, which he has done a number of times. I got a thing. I got to talk to him again. I don't know.
I
Anyway,
think you see
That wound is still sore.
yeah, but
He's fine.
he's fine. I think he owes us a song or something. He has to drum for us at some point. I was also like in the very early stages of pregnancy. My first
No, you weren't
It-
pregnant then.
no, not then. When I was pregnant with River, we were playing a show with one of his
You're
bands.
going down the.
Oh,
you're going
so
down the road.
anyway, there are two things he owes me for. So now he has to play drums for us.
But yeah, so it worked out.
Right on. So here is the video for Because I'm Awesome by the Dolly Rods.
I've got the new style, and I'm walking right down the street. I'm on your speed dial, you know, the one everyone wants to meet.
All right, welcome back to the show. My niece Bailey introduced me to your music back in about 2013 because she knew I was a fan of punk music and like 1950s golden oldies.
Nice.
So she played me your cover of Brand New Key, and I loved it. So I was looking through your catalog and actually found that you got quite a bit of covers of oldies music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what our band is. You know, it's oldies rock and roll. So like 50s rock and roll, girl groups, and you know, punk rock music. But we were teenagers in the 90s, so of course there's like an alternative music influence
Sure.
there. Just
I love it, and I would
Yeah.
love to hear you guys do like Earth Angel or Run Around Sue.
We did do Earth Angel.
we did
except
do
You
Earth
did?
Angel.
Oh, I
we
missed that
only
one.
we gave it to our Patreon people.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
There's
I
some,
totally
like-
missed that.
Yeah,
There's
we'll have
some
to send
things-
that to you.
Yeah, we do covers every now and then just for the hell of it, and that was
We did a
one.
wild one last night. It's for Dr. Demento.
Yeah,
I don't think we could say it yet because I don't know when it's coming out. but-
yeah. But yeah, I think that music was like instrumental in, you know, because we grew up in Florida.
Yeah,
This
so
is-
in Florida, for people that don't know, you know, Florida terrestrial radio is very oldies heavy because there are all these old retirees
old
here.
people.
So they're growing up, there were like 2 or 3 really good oldies music stations, and half the time that was better than what was being played on the dirt rock station, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
98
listened
rock.
I listened to that more often.
I listened to 98 Rock as a kid.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so we just grew up with an appreciation for that stuff, and
That's cool.
also like her voice. I mean, just from the get go, to me, it just reminded me so much of like Ronnie Spector, or you know, one of those girl group like Phil Spector like type girl group
Gotcha.
singers. And so it was natural for us. Like our first cover that we ever did was "Be My Baby." It just kind of like went
Yeah.
with that theme. So yeah.
Gotcha.
it's
How do you
definitely-
guys decide which songs to cover?
Well,
It's usually got to be a song we really love.
yeah, it's usually like, you know how you just fall in love with songs sometimes and then they
I
just
don't
pop
trust
back
him.
into
It's
your
very
head.
crunchy.
What is he crunching on? It's always a song we love, you know, and
Gotcha.
it's even better if it's off genre, you know, like if it's like
Gotcha.
not meant to be played in a certain way and we can change it to be like our style.
I opened the
Um,
door. I hope I don't regret it.
The chickens are out.
It's okay.
No, it's not. So like we covered like Lisa Loeb's "Stay." We covered like oldies songs. We cover "Dream Lover."
Oh,
Yeah,
Dream Lover was awesome.
yeah. So you know, I feel like it's not, if you can make it your own, and sometimes you're surprised by the result, right? Because a song that may sound a certain way, when you actually break it down into the chord changes and stuff like that, it's magical when you can make it into like a pop punk song, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
that's cool.
we just did "Easy," like that Commodores Lionel Richie
Yeah.
song. That was supposed to not really be like a big deal or whatever. We did it and it worked, and it was like, oh my
I was
god,
like,
this
oh,
is like
that's cool.
so we
Let's
turned-
put it out. And
we turned it into the label that like had us do it, and they put it out as a single, and that was a surprise. But
yeah, they want us
but it-
to do another song for the flip side, and they're actually going to print it on vinyl, I think.
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, so that'll be cool.
yeah.
I was
You
going
gotta-
to go ahead and play the video for Brand New Key. What can you tell us about making that cover and the video?
Well, that song, when I was learning to drive, it was right around the time that I discovered that song. It was my best friend's dad's record collection led me to a lot of, old folk rock and, Woodstock and that era of music. And so I dove deep and I loved everything that they played me. And Brand New Key was one of the records they played me. And so I was like, this song is the coolest. This lady is awesome. She sounds so weird and perfect. And so I used to play that on repeat in my car when I was like driving or driving my sister around or
Yeah.
whatever. Like pretty much to annoy anybody that I had to drive around.
and
Gotcha.
And so it was a natural choice.
and it was recorded as kind of an afterthought. Like
Yeah.
we had recorded
okay.
the rest of "Because I'm Awesome," and it was like, let's go just record a cover and maybe like one more song. And so Fields was like, hey, yeah, I got a studio, meet me here on this day. And we showed up in the studio. It turned out it was like Dr. Dre's
Encore
old
B.
studio.
Oh, wow.
There was a gold toilet on like a
That's
throne
hilarious.
Like if you go upstairs to the bathroom, there's this big, it was a brown toilet or gold. I don't know. It was like a weird
It was
toilet
a very weird
on a
toilet
pedestal?
on a pedestal.
That's awesome.
with like a
And
cigar.
this huge like oversized brandy snifter full of cigars. It's weird.
So we cut that song there. what was
What else?
weird about that cover is like that song doesn't really have a melody. It just or a
I thought I
tempo.
showed up to the studio that day. I was like, I got this. I've sung this song so many millions of times. And then I started. I was like, oh crap! I have no idea how to do it.
Well, because it's like
It's
and
like yodeling.
And it speeds up, and then it's
John Fields was like, he was so irritated trying to figure it out. He was like, oh my gosh,
He's
this
like,
has no key.
what key is
This has no tempo.
He's like, this needs a brand new key. You get it?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
But-
Awesome.
But that was the reason for that one.
Very cool. So here is Brand New Key by the Dolly Rots.
I rode my bicycle past your window last night. I roller skated to your door at daylight. It almost seems like you're avoiding me. I'm okay alone, but you got something I need. Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. I think we should get together and try to match see. I've been looking around you all. You got something from me. Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. I ride my bike, I roller skate, don't drive no car. Don't go too fast, but I go pretty far. For somebody who don't drive, I've been all around the world. Some people say I've done alright for a girl. Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. I think we should get together and try to match see. I've been looking around a while. You got something for me. Oh, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I asked your mother if you were at home. She said yes, but you weren't alone. Oh, sometimes I think that you're avoiding me. I'm okay alone, but you got something I need. Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. I think we should get together and try to match see. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
All right, welcome back to the show. Lewis, I wanted to ask you about your third album because that one was a little different for you personally. On A Little Messed Up, you actually started to take on some production duties. Was that intimidating or what was that like for you, making that switch?
It started because we were on the road a lot, like right around that time, and so we couldn't be like in the studio like pounding out demos. We couldn't be at the rehearsal space writing
Yeah.
songs. We weren't at home, so we couldn't be like hashing out songs at home. And so I started just like creating demos in GarageBand on my laptop
Oh,
in
cool.
the van.
Yeah.
So I'd be like in the van with my guitar direct into like the computer with like the GarageBand drum loops or whatever. And then I'd have her like sing on it. She'd just be like singing at
Into
the
the
laptop, like laptop microphone. And so we made a bunch of demos while the van was rolling. And so that kind of turned into like, we get home, it's time to record the record. We went and we cut basic tracks and I was like, we should add this or we should try this or like whatever. And so I'd have her sing on something and then I was like, I should get a recording interface. And then I was like, I should get a real microphone. you know, like $100
And then it just kept growing, and now here we are.
And now here we are with all the gear.
Well, that was kind of a crossroads, if I read that correctly, of the band, because Kelly, at one point during that time, you kind of felt like you wanted to quit music.
Yeah. So it was the first record that we did without John Fields, because he was off. He was in the Jonas Brothers bus making their
gotcha.
next album.
Yeah.
He got pulled into like the Disney circles. He was doing like Miley Cyrus and the Joe Bros, and
And
so we couldn't.
We were like, we
didn't time out
We
right.
can't blame him.
Gotcha.
I mean,
No.
like we were like, go get it, dude.
Yeah. So we worked with Chris Testa, who had worked on our records with John, and we also did a song with Matt Wallace. But it was a little bit disjointed, and also at the same time, Blackheart Records, they really wanted us to have another Because I'm Awesome, because that song almost broke. It was like almost the song that made us like a big national one-hit wonder. And they were like, they believed it. They're like, we know you got this in you. But they set up all these songwriting sessions, and so we started writing with other people. And it became less the two of us and making music and more like chasing a hit song.
Gotcha.
And it was exhausting, and it felt like it just started to feel like we weren't, I don't know, it became a little negative.
It just became like music industry story.
Exactly. There were managers. There
was just like a series of
people
managers
suggesting my clothing choice. It was like, I was like, this isn't what I want to do.
And the thing is, like, I'm not saying that it was like predatory
No.
all the time. Like, there was a lot of good intentions, I think, because people saw it was like, oh,
It's like
you
have potential.
They're capable of like having a big hit.
Yeah.
Like, they just need to be put in the position to do that. But the problem is, like, if you try to manufacture a hit, it all of a sudden becomes like really hard to have it be like a genuine
Sure,
thing.
it becomes fake. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
so
gotcha.
it's just hard. It's like, it's so much easier to have the freedom to be like, oh, well, I'm just writing a bunch of songs because this is what I love. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, your song made this many $100,000 last year.
Which we didn't get, don't
Which
worry.
we didn't get anything, because obviously everyone else gobbled it up. but there's pressure.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it just got to be kind of felt like it was like a drag. I mean, we
Gotcha.
wanted to chase it. We were still willing to chase it.
Yeah, but it was hard. I mean, I remember telling our friends, it was when I first started going like, I'm ready to quit and have a baby. Like, I'm ready to quit and have a baby.
Yeah.
I think
But
it was like 8 more years before we did that.
So what was it for you guys that made you push through that and want to keep going?
I couldn't quit because Lewis really still wanted it.
Gotcha.
And so at that point, I was trying to do my best to like make it happen.
Yeah, and also like Blackheart was fully willing to like put
I didn't
put
want
this
to let
record
them
out.
down.
Like
either.
we were going to put out a record with them one way or another.
Yeah.
And so we
Gotcha.
felt
We
like an
were-
obligation
yeah.
of the people, that had believed in us to push through,
Yeah.
But the thing is, that was a good thing in the end,
Yeah.
because like you
You
had
learned how to
mentioned,
record.
I learned how to record,
Mhm.
and we began to we wrote so much that a lot of the ideas that we had like incubated during that time ended up coming out
Yeah.
on albums later on.
Yeah, we've used
Gotcha.
a lot of
You know?
parts of songs
Like-
and ideas that were from then.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like we're still. Sometimes I still open up those folders and listen to those like demos, and I'm like, oh, that
It's
was
like,
actually
that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
Well, we're glad you pushed through, because then you also after that, you started your own label called Arrested Youth.
yeah,
How do you feel your music has benefited from being on your own label?
Well, it was a direct response to that last record, because all of a sudden it was just us and our fans, and John Fields was home from Joe Bro, and we
So you're
were
able to get back to your roots and the kind
able
of
to be us.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, what happened was like we put out the record through Blackheart, and that was all fine, and that it was just the record was out.
My voice broke for a little while.
Kelly's
took a
voice
break.
broke for a little while. Long story short, we got through that. Then we came to the conclusion, because we saw like, oh, there's this thing called Kickstarter. And then we met this other guy who was like starting this new thing called Pledge Music. And all of a sudden it occurred to us that like, you know what? Like, we should own our music, and we can own our music because we have enough fans from touring the country the last 5 or 6 years.
That we think if they
we
know
think-
that we're making a record, they'll pre-order it, and that's what happened.
and so
Well, I'm sorry I don't have the numbers in front of me, but when you started your Kickstarters and stuff, you reached your goals really fast.
yeah.
I remember crying
Well, we
because
didn't, we didn't
before
think
we
would.
before we hit publish that first time, we were both sick. I mean, like
Well,
almost pukey
because
sick.
we felt like, all right, is this even gonna work? Like, does anybody really care?
Yeah.
And we set the goal at like $7,500, which is
Because
like
that's what we
that would be
figured we could make.
the bare minimum to cut, a record in like a couple days,
Yeah.
right?
Gotcha.
And we got there in like 24 hours.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And
It
we
was
were just-
amazing.
and it was just, oh my God, like we don't need a label. We can get our own distro. We've learned enough from
Well,
watching.
yeah, the industry had changed at that point. Too.
Yeah. And we had like paid attention, so we saw what the label did. We saw how the label worked with, publicists. We saw how the label worked with
Radio.
with radio promotion, with the booking agent,
yeah.
with the distributor, like finding distro, doing digital distro, finding physical distro, doing like we had seen like how this
Kind of
kinda
figured out how it
worked
worked.
under the hood
Gotcha.
by being on a strong independent label.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of took that and did it ourselves.
That's awesome.
I
I want to play another song for you from you guys. What can you tell me about the song and the video for "Twist Me to the Left"?
That one was really fun. So it was at the end of a tour. At that point, we were touring with Bowling for Soup a lot. And Jarrett from Bowling for Soup had started a music video company with a friend. They were making a few music videos. And he's like, hey, after South by. That's
First you have to talk like Jared.
He's like,
My Jared voice is the same as my Kelly voice.
that's how he sounds like he does my voice. So he's like, come by and we'll make a video. He loved that song, and we were like, yeah, let's
Well,
do it.
we
So we
played-
made it in his garage.
we played in Dallas the night before.
Yeah.
So like we already knew we were playing in Dallas, and
Yeah.
it was a perfect opportunity for him to come out with his crew, film the show.
Yeah.
And then we stayed the night at his house.
And then we
The
did
next
green
morning-
screen stuff.
Well, the next morning we got up and she took a pregnancy test.
I didn't tell anybody.
Oh,
But we had been hoping. Yeah.
She actually found out at Jarrett's house though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
that's River's first appearance.
nice.
It was in my belly at that point.
Yeah, nobody
knew.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Except us during the making of that video.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
But yeah, he set up a green screen in his garage, and yeah, that was all Jarrett. I mean, he's good at pretty much everything he does. So
Yeah.
you can
We've
always-
learned so much from
You
him
can always
as well.
you
Oh,
can
that's
always
cool.
count on him.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. So here is the video for "Twist Me to the Left" by the Dolly Rods.
Wake up with my makeup on, closer from the night before. I saw the sun come up again, Chicago, maybe Baltimore. Only chick upon the ship, but brothers make it less homesick. Showtime comes, so here we go. Take a shot, head to the door. Here comes your moment. Shimmy, busy, jump up and down. Shimmy, busy, hop all around. Pop me off like a bottle cap. Twist me to the left. You gotta twist me to the left. See those faces look at me, shining in the sea of black, radiating energy. I'll turn it up and throw it back. For you, I'll give my everything. I'll bleed and sweat and kill my brain. Fight the common enemy, 'cause you and me, we're all the same. Here comes your moment. Shimmy, busy, jump up and down. Shimmy, busy, hop all around. Pop me off like a bottle cap. Twist me to the left. Lose our minds like it's 1965. Pop me off like a bottle cap. Twist me to the left. You gotta twist it for me. Don't wanna do it, baby. To the show, we'll swap some love, have a few and then some push to shove off into the night. I'm sure of where what tomorrow brings. All I know is that I'll sing. Wake up into it again. Wake up into it again. Jimmy Fizzy, jump up and down. Jimmy Fizzy, hop all around. Pop me off like a bottle cap. Twist me to the left. Ooh, lose our minds like it's 1965. Pop me off like a bottle cap. Twist me to the left. Twist me to the left. Hey, twist me to the left. Hey, hey. You gotta twist me. Hey, twist me to the left.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. So you guys have a real personal connection with your fans, and you do some really cool things like weddings and house parties, personalized songs, and the craziest thing that I read was locks of hair.
Oh yeah.
How do you guys come up with those ideas to interact with fans?
There's one here. Look, this was one that didn't get sent. I had pink hair at the time, and Lewis had black. There's glitter in there too.
It's like
That's
it's
awesome.
super
Yeah.
like blown us.
We were just trying to. The hair thing started because we were doing, these crowdsourcing projects, and we wanted to make it fun, So
I mean, our first idea was vials of blood.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that-
so then we were like, all right, well, we could do hair. And so we would make like one of the more common things that people could pre-order was like a box with the shirt, the poster, the CD, all the stuff, plus home baked cookies for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And whatever we wanted to throw in there. And so that's where the like locks of hair and like we would just pull stuff from our apartment or our house. Like we just pull random stuff and throw it in there.
like memorabilia that we had like
Yeah.
a lot of.
That's so
you know,
cool.
Like,
it
stuff
was like a
from,
goodie box.
stuff from like music videos or
Yeah.
like old like concert flyers
Or like stickers, if we found a stack of
Or-
stickers from the old days,
or
we're
like
oh man.
set lists.
Yeah.
It's things like that.
I love that stuff, man. That's
we,
awesome.
we always approach, or we always approach because we still do it this way. Whenever we're doing a full length album,
Yeah.
we approach these crowdsourcing things as like from the perspective of, all right, if a band that I really loved
Was doing this.
was doing something like
what
this,
do I want?
like
Yeah.
what would be something totally rad, for
Mm-hmm.
me? It's like, well, I would love a drum head, or I would love like a personalized lyric sheet
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think about what would you want,
Yeah.
from your favorite band.
That's cool. So you think about it in the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
because
we are music
because we are
fans.
fans. We have our favorite bands too. I mean,
That's
most of them are dead, but
Yeah.
like, can't exactly get handwritten lyric sheets.
Well, one thing I found truly amazing was even after all your success, all of your side bands, your kids, you got all this going on, yet you still answer your social media personally. That
Yeah.
just blows me away. Why is that important to you?
Well, would you want your favorite band to have an intern talking to you?
No,
I mean,
but even some of the smaller bands, I get like a third party that I have to go through. So
Yeah.
you guys at your level still do it personally. I think that's so commendable.
Well, it's the way we do the whole band thing. We don't feel like there's that facade anymore. Like when we were growing up, it's like, okay, you go to see Nirvana or Green Day. There's no way in hell you're going to actually meet them.
Right.
Or, if you send a letter, like they're not writing back, and that was normal back then.
What it is it's music industry, because the music industry
is a
is
gatekeeper.
built
Yeah, well, that's
create
yes, that's
jobs
exactly what
that
it is.
shouldn't exist. And so these jobs exist in order to create a barrier, a middleman between you and the band.
Right.
So we have the bare minimum of like a team around us
Mhm.
to help us. It's like we have a publicist, because if not, we'd never be able to
We'd
keep
forget
appointments.
we'd forget everything.
But
And
we don't have a manager that's like, well, I don't know, let me check with the band. And like secretly, the band just has the manager there so they can act
So they
like
can
the
say
good
no.
guys. So they can act like the good guys.
yeah, half the time a manager is just there to look like the bad guy because the band's too wimpy to say something they think on their own.
Yeah. Or I mean, but that extends to like social media. So it's like, I don't mind talking to people. I don't think that like after we play shows, we just go.
We
to the
always
merch.
go
We always
to
go
merch,
you know?
even
That's
no
cool.
matter how tired
Like-
we are, or
Yeah.
you know, the
feel like-
venues get frustrated sometimes, but we
'Cause we're
feel
just hanging out with people. Like,
we feel like it's really important to know the people that care about our music, you know, and it helps us too. You know, it helps us
Yeah.
remember why we're doing this and who we're writing music for.
Yeah.
You know, we would rather our fans be our bosses than anybody else.
yeah.
That's
we're-
so commendable, man. That's awesome. Even like something more personal, like when you were pregnant, you did a lot of behind the scenes on YouTube for your fans. You were very like transparent, and you even made an entire album called Barefoot and Pregnant, kind of like documenting that. I wanted to play that song in the video. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I don't remember that video at all. I was about to pop.
Oh,
But yeah, I think that one was the idea of John Fields, our producer. His manager makes videos, and he was like, "Man, you've got to make one super pregnant. Like, you got to do this, you guys." And so, Stacy Jones was actually the drummer on the album. He did it as like, you know, a friend thing for Fields and us. And I mean, he is now like Miley Cyrus's drummer.
He's
He's
like-
American Hi-Fi.
He is
Like,
American Hi-Fi.
He's a super awesome drummer, really nice guy. So, you know, we're in the studio and John's like making all this happen while we're recording the record. And he's
We
like,
didn't,
all right,
we didn't have
okay,
that
this is
song.
going to happen.
No,
Oh yeah, that song didn't even exist.
No, it was kind of Stacy's idea because he's like drumming on the songs and then he's like, you know
Yeah.
what?
You
Wouldn't it
need
be
one of these
cute?"
ones.
He's like, whoosh, 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 really, you know, like the classic punk beat.
Yeah.
We're like, all right. So we went home.
We called it Punk Beat on the demo. And it was
oh,
just
that's cool.
drums.
So we
That's
went,
right.
We went home and we wrote it in like 5-10 minutes or whatever.
Because
Because we had to go see the Pixies
we had to
that
go
night.
see the Pixies
So it's like,
because Kim Shattuck was playing bass. And it was like the last show that I was probably going to get to go to before like being a mom and didn't know when. We had no idea what
like at
life
the
would
Mayan
be like after
Theater.
that. Yeah. So we had like 10 minutes before we were going to be late to the Pixies. So I got in our closet, which is where we recorded all the vocals.
So-
Our closet, our
So
little
John,
bedroom
really?
apartment.
John sent me the drum beat that Stacy had drummed real fast.
Yeah.
And I just cut, paste. And then we quickly like
Yeah.
did this little demo. And then, you know, a month later it was like, let's make a video.
Yeah. So
And,
it got
you know-
organized by our producer's manager.
Yeah.
And he filmed it. And then we just had a whole bunch of our friends come out and be ridiculous. And it's one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did some stuff in our apartment too. So like that's like
Oh
our-
yeah, the eating
that's our,
thing.
that's our
was
like
our
apartment kitchen. It's like all pink and she's like eating ice cream.
Yeah. We still have that apartment if anyone needs to sublease a place in Los Angeles. Koreatown, let me know.
So here is Barefoot and Pregnant by the Dolly Rods.
All right, you guys ready? We're gonna do this. 5, 4, 3,
Jacket.
2.
All the things I wanna eat, talking pickles, drinking cheap Barefoot. All I wanna do is like Kevin over Kentucky. Barefoot. I'm barefoot and pregnant now. I'm barefoot and pregnant. Ow. I'm sweaty, had no water drinks, looking like a duck in Barefoot. Used to have some hours down, now I'm looking like a seal. Barefoot. I'm barefoot and pregnant now. I'm barefoot and pregnant. Ow. Labor and delivery. Hi, is normal C-contractions when I'm sitting? Oh, could I see the baby? Sweet. I'm barefoot and pregnant now. I'm barefoot and pregnant. Ow. Can I get a cookie for that?
It's oh wait, oh my god.
Later, I'm sure, somewhere.
Is this the album cover?
Yeah. And welcome back to the show. One thing that's really impressive to me is the fact that you guys have your kids as such, a big part of your music. My daughter's about to be 6 in a couple of days, and she loves to try to get on some of the videos that I do.
Mhm.
But at first I was very hesitant because I was scared about how people would view like young kids and punk music and so forth.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, when you became parents, were you scared about having your kids in the spotlight, or what was that like for you?
Yeah.
Well, for safety reasons, I mean, you always kind of wonder, all right, well, what does that mean if we're putting our private life out there?
Yeah.
But then we kind of came to the conclusion that if somebody really wants to find out something about you, they will.
It's not hard.
And I mean, there's the internet.
So I think it's a false idea of protection by, hiding your kids from the public, especially if you're
Gotcha.
in public.
Yeah.
So we figured, and our fans, we wanted to make it is a family environment now. And we have so many fans with kids that are the same age. It was just like, well,
I mean, we
are
got
we going to
like-
share this, or are we going to become more separate from our fans and
Sure.
and change gears? And it was just impossible not to. We didn't
Yeah.
we didn't always have childcare. We don't always have childcare. So sometimes the kids have to be there. If we're making a video, like an update for Patreon or something, and, the kids are home, then they're like going to be sitting on that couch or on the laps and
Yeah, like
making hammy
if
faces.
we do an online show, if we do a stage at the kids.
Yeah,
are
they're
there.
there. This
Yeah.
past year, it was just the 4 of us, in the 4 walls. So they were a part of everything we did. And we did put a lot of thought into it, though. And I was nervous, but at the same time, I really think the only way to protect your children is to be very involved and physically,
Gotcha.
aware of their whereabouts at all times.
I mean, eventually they're going to have TikTok accounts and
hell no.
Instagrams and whether you like it or not. But like, we just kind of figured, okay, this is the way society works. It's not like we're not like Gwen Stefani or something. We don't, we're not on that plateau of like,
Yeah, we don't have
crazy,
the ability to not
like-
make it all one thing.
yeah. So, and obviously they go on the road with us too. So what
Yeah.
are we supposed to do? Like turn off the camera when the kids, there's
Yeah,
never a time
There's
when the kids-
never a moment.
they're either backstage or side stage, or we're hanging with them in the RV or the hotel, whatever.
Sound
you know?
check. Yeah, they're around.
They're at sound check. They're running around like crazy at sound check. It's like, well, what? We can't film our sound checks,
That's so cool. Yeah.
That's the way
You
it
had mentioned Stage It. I want to bring that out because to me, that's very, very unique. I love it because it presents to you or from you like a very unfiltered and intimate setting and look into your life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
about as real as it
well,
gets.
Yeah.
It's our living room. And the thing was, we used to do it just the 2 of us,
Yeah, we started doing Stage It
So-
when I was pregnant. So it's been like 9 years,
Yeah, we've been
8
doing it a
years
while.
Stage It.
And it's really fun. It's just like there's a whole different ecosystem and a whole different community around our band on Stage It. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people know each other. They interact in the chat room while we're playing. Like
Yeah.
we talk to them. Like it's cool. There's
It's
a back and
fun.
forth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Um,
community.
So there's like the video and there's a chat room right next to it. And it's just a live like perform, like you're playing a coffee shop basically.
Yeah,
Except we talk back and forth.
yeah.
And so during when the pandemic started, it was
It's
like,
like,
well,
we
we can't play real shows.
which was the scariest thing ever because we've never, even right after I had a baby, we've never taken more than 3 months off.
Yeah. So it was like
Gotcha.
all tours are canceled. We can't book anything.
We can't go anywhere.
We can't go anywhere. But we felt an obligation to people to do something, because everyone's trapped at home. And it's like we have the ability to like play music on the internet.
Yeah.
It was like our contribution, we felt like,
Yeah.
So we made the shows free. I mean, you could
They're
tip us
every,
if you want.
yeah, we did like every Sunday.
We played like 10 weeks in a
11
row,
weeks.
Oh wow.
But the thing was, the kids were there because we couldn't take them to the grandparents. There's a freaking pandemic.
Which
Yeah.
for me, it was like boot camp for when we finally go back to a show because I'm a very easily distracted person. And the easiest shows for me are like on stage with enough space that I can like kind of go into my own world and not not see everything that everyone's doing,
The
because
bigger-
I start looking at everyone, and I start looking at the person looking at their phone, and I'm wondering what they're looking at on their phone, and I forget to sing. Like, so having the 2 kids and chickens, because we got chickens at the
They're
beginning of the
like-
pandemic,
running
it-
around.
my brain was about to implode
Oh, no.
every one of those shows. But I did get better and better. And I worried a little bit less about mistakes, because I
Gotcha.
hate making mistakes, and I get embarrassed really easily. Lewis will yes, roll his eyes, but like I get so embarrassed by like mistakes and things that it was really hard for me. I hated doing them at first,
Oh.
but I got better, and the kids also kind of got better at doing it.
Gotcha.
It basically made us like even more jaded. 'Cause we were just like,
And I'm like,
happening?
whatever.
oh,
It's
there's
fine.
chicken poop on me. That's cool. Just keep playing.
Well, as a fan, I thought it was amazing because it makes you so relatable.
Yeah.
Like the last one I watched, you guys were playing a song, and in the middle of it, River comes in and like bogarts the camera, and he's holding a chicken.
yeah, it's that sort of thing. Like,
And I just love it because it makes you guys so real to your fans. For example, my wife, she sells Pampered Chef and like cooking, so
Oh,
she'll do like a lot of cooking demonstrations and videos.
yeah.
And my daughter loves the camera, and she'll stand in front of it, yes, or she'll start putting her hands in the batter, and like it's so like not professional or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious, and it makes it human, and that's what
Yeah.
your stages are, and I
Yeah.
think they're fantastic.
I mean,
Cool.
I think
Thanks,
one of
man.
the silver linings of the pandemic was seeing that everybody's human. I mean, even these
Yeah.
these people on the late night shows, at their houses,
Yeah,
with no makeup, no hair,
big beards.
and children.
Trevor Noah was getting an afro going.
Yeah, and it just, I think that was a really cool thing that happened. And I
Yeah.
hope that kind of helps things
Well,
moving forward.
it's good for like our it appeals to like our aesthetic too, because like we had mentioned before, we don't really believe in showbiz.
Yeah.
So all that like that facade of like cameras and makeup and scripts and like whatever, it's just
It's BS,
you
It's
know,
like,
do you really need it if the content is cool, or if
Yeah.
it appeals to
Yeah.
you know?
So in line with your stage it, you had one just the other day, and I missed it. Do you have another date set up, or what are your plans for stage it?
we try and do one a month.
Yeah.
One a month. Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, like with my radio show, which is like a full-time gig.
Monday through Friday.
It's
Yeah.
it's a 4-hour show Monday through Friday. And so it's a lot of content. I mean, Lewis, he works on it too. He's
Yeah,
the
I
one
mean,
that does
I'm
like
just, like,
the
I'm just-
engineering, producing.
Yeah.
So, it's a matter of, there's that, there's stages, but more importantly, we're booking dates hopefully for September. We have
Oh, nice.
out tentative plans, but we really need to have music to release for that. And so we've been working on an EP, a long EP, hopefully. But it's just priorities. It's like, okay, last week we did the stage it, so we didn't get to work on the new music. So it's like this weekend, maybe tonight, we get to work on the new music. Last night we recorded a demo that was due for something else a long time ago.
Yeah.
So like we are constantly working on things, but it's trying to decide what goes where. That's been a little tricky, especially this past year.
Yeah, 'cause I think people figured that like we'd have a lot of extra time because we weren't touring, and the truth is like, well, we were trapped at home with our 2 like awesome kids.
Yeah, but
who,
we were
like demand our attention and who we needed to like teach. Like
Yeah.
when school started, it was like, all right,
they just went back to school in
know,
person.
Oh, gotcha.
so
And so for
yeah.
that entire year, it was the 4 of us. We were trying to make sure that they didn't get dumb. We were keeping them away even from their grandparents, which is the reason we are in Florida. We were keeping them away from the grandparents because we didn't want anyone getting sick and all of that.
So-
So now we're all fully vaccinated, except the kids.
Well,
We're still trying to protect them in a bubble of, whatever. So we were just parenting from, 6:37 a.m. until 9 or 10 at night because, we got on a little bit of a goofy schedule with the kids. And then we would work from 10 to 3 or 4 a.m. and then we would rotate a nap in the morning
Gotcha. Wow.
every
It's just-
single
but
day.
plus her morning show.
And I was working like full time on a radio show.
So
Well, your morning show was it was 4 in the morning, but is it now? It's the afternoon now, or was that just a
I
one-time
was just
thing?
filling in. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so you're
it's always 4 to 8 a.m. Eastern time.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was a crazy year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was stuck at home doing dishes and then doing
And then
cleaning up,
cooking and doing more
cleaning-
dishes and then
and doing
cooking
more-
and doing more
then
dishes and
cooking,
cooking and
then
doing more
cleaning up
dishes.
and doing more dishes, and then cooking and cleaning up and doing more dishes.
At least we didn't really do
And then doing
laundry
more
because we
dishes.
just wore the same stuff. every
Well, you didn't have to wear a lot of different clothes. You didn't go anywhere.
I'm
No.
really good at doing dishes.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring one last point out about the Stage It, and then I'll move on. But in an April 2020 Stage It, Kelly, you said something that was very interesting to me. You were talking about writing lyrics, and you said lyrics are very personal, and often you and Lewis and you and Jarrett don't really discuss where they come from or what the lyrics mean. I was
Yeah.
actually a little shocked by that. How do you write songs together and not really go into detail about what they mean?
Because it's
Magic.
magic.
I love that you said the same thing.
No, because like you don't want to mess with that cosmic.
It's
You don't like they talk about like songwriting, right? Because
I mean we've written with
we've written with
amazing songwriters.
like we could sit here and like be like name dropping like some of the songwriters that we've worked
Yeah.
with as a result of being in music this long and stuff like that. And there is a craft to writing
yeah,
songs.
you can
Gotcha.
craft.
You can craft
a
songs,
song.
but the more you write, the more you're able to tell the difference between a song that's crafted and a song that just has dropped from the sky. And our preference is to like write songs
Let
that
the
drop
songs
from
happen.
the sky. And that's
Wow,
a
that's
weird-
yeah, that's just really interesting.
like
Well,
the-
I said this on the radio show like yesterday, I think, or something. But and there's also a difference between poets and songwriters, I think, and I think poetry is beautiful and wonderful, and poetry can be put to music. But I think that that's different than music happening with lyrics, because I think the music informs what the song is going to be by the way it sounds and the way it feels. Like we don't say like, hey, we're going to write this song about an orange owl, and because there's one right there, an orange owl going on vacation.
it was actually an orange owl.
We start
Like,
a song.
that's a random reference. I don't know how you can think of that, Kelly.
We start a song. Usually it's BPM and a guitar riff, and then a melody becomes a thing. And then that melody, as you're creating a melody, sometimes you grunt syllables that start to sound like words, and then you start making them words, and then you start making more words, and then you start making the song about what the song's about.
And then you get really frustrated because you can't write the right words, and then you like all of a sudden are like just washing dishes because I'm really good at it, and the idea drops into your head, and you're like,
You're like, oh, that's what it
that's
is.
but it really is. I mean, it takes work because you have to work through the song, but the final product, usually it's something that just like drops into your head. And
We don't take a
It
long
comes-
time
it
on
comes out
the
of
lyrics
nowhere.
either,
And then
as
you-
a rule.
yeah,
Like,
and we've learned to never second guess it. or
we
try
don't
not to
rewrite
second-
songs.
when you rewrite, it always ends up worse.
But yeah, there are a few
Like-
Dolly Rot songs, and I don't know what they're about.
Really?
And then
Oh,
the
wow.
Jarrett and Kelly stuff, I think there are songs that neither Jarrett nor I really know what the meaning of it is, as like we know what it ended up being, but
Sure.
like where it came from or whatever, it just grew together.
Wow, that's really
I
fascinating.
don't know. Yeah.
There's not really like an intent, but different
Gotcha.
people work different ways.
Yeah, there are plenty of ways
tend
to write.
We tend to flesh out like a full instrumental and then listen to it and let the lyrics come to us. Other people, will start with, well, what's really important to you, or what's really
Well, it's like
let's
the
write about
band
something.
X, right? I love X. Exene Cervenka is a poet. John Doe is an awesome musician. Together, they create really cool music. But like that's different than the way that we do it,
Gotcha.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Yeah.
That's just our method. But yeah,
Very
I think we're similar to Jarrett in that we don't really second guess it. We just let it happen, and that's
If it's not good enough, it doesn't get recorded in the end.
Well, the next one I want to play for you guys is Mermaid. What can you tell us about that song and video?
Oh man, that's this room.
So I just like,
That was a lot. That's pretty much a you song.
And that was at Wikiwachi, right?
Yeah. So I wrote that one. I pretty much had it all done.
I was super pregnant.
She was really pregnant. We were trying to get this record done before our daughter was born. And so I played the whole instrumental and then I sang it and then I just showed it to her.
And then I sang it.
And then she sang what I had sung.
Yeah.
And then the song,
cool.
like the natural essential line, like the bridge part. That's because I was
funny.
in the middle of like singing a vocal and I went to go pee and I walked into the bathroom and there was like a natural essentials like soap thing. It's like,
That's it.
it's like dumb. So we recorded it, and then this guy we know, Stephen Shea, he's actually from Florida, but he's based out in LA. He's like, hey, I'm gonna be in Florida.
I'm gonna be in Florida.
I'd love to do a video for Mermaid. And we said,
yeah.
He's like, I have a hookup at Wikiwachi. I know someone there.
Which I have been wanting to do a video there my whole life.
Oh, that's cool.
I hadn't even been there yet. There's this long story. Me and my sister tried to go once, and it was like National Lampoon's Vacation where they go to Wally World. It's closed. My sister and I finally, as adults, as a Christmas present to each other, went to Wikiwachi.
Wait, as adults, so as a kid, you never went there?
No.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that weird?
That is, because that place is
It's
awesome.
so close to where I grew up. Yeah. So
we got so they were really nice and they let us
were awesome.
They let us do our thing. They gave us full reign of the water park. Like
they turned the slide on for us.
That's cool.
It was cold.
They let us go on the rides by ourselves, and in the end, the video is kind of a commercial for Wikiwachi.
Yeah, it's cool.
They're like, hold an alligator. I was like, yeah. So
very cool. So here's Mermaid by the Dolly Rods.
You know I can't survive if you take me out of water. I'll be your mermaid, so let me out to dry. Look deep, my obsession, drink my tears when you're gone. I need some attention, fly to your dimension. You say we've got nothing in
welcome back to the show. I want to talk now a second about your album Daydream Explosion, because Lewis, you were quoted as saying, "I'm excited with a mix of confidence knowing that this is the best album we've ever made."
Yeah.
In your opinion, what makes this album so special?
Man, it's just like the culmination, all the ingredients like that we had been working on for so long. I felt like when we were making the record that it all kind of came together in the exact right way.
Yeah.
Like the songs they all felt like really natural and good. The lyrics, like all the demos were great. Like we partnered up with Steven Van Zant's label. So he heard all the demos before we recorded them, and he like told us they were good.
Yeah.
So we knew that was good.
He had some suggestions.
He had some.
Steven. He
had
did a little producing.
He had a little like touches or like his crazy ideas that are awesome. Like he's a genius. And we were set to go record with Fields, and in a way, it was the culmination of a lot that we had been working towards with Fields, because we had always dreamed of recording at Pachyderm. Like Pachyderm,
cool studio outside of Minneapolis.
Outside of Minneapolis, we've been talking with Fields about recording there forever. It's where like Nirvana recorded in utero. It's like there's a ton of like awesome indie rock that's been recorded there. But dude, it's the in utero drum sound, dude.
That's awesome. And that's the one in your YouTube videos in the snow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's like in the middle of Minnesota, like an hour outside of Minneapolis, and we went there during the polar vortex, so it was like literally like -17.
But also, I mean, for me, it was special because it was the first time in a really long time that I kind of felt like my band self was there, because I had been in like mom mode for so long. I was pregnant, breastfeeding until through the next pregnancy. So I was just like super mom mode. Finally, I wasn't breastfeeding. We were going away from kids for 10 days, which ended up being a little too long, but like I cried at the airport. He was trying to make like a video, like, hey, we need to do some social media. And I couldn't stop crying to do a video. But once I got on the plane, I was like, all right, I forgot, like, this is part of me too. Like I am in a band. I am a musician. I can go make a record right now. and I think that, a lot of that performance was just me being so happy that it was still in me.
I feel like about to cry right now.
I am. Well, it was a lot, I felt like me. So it was cool.
I mean, we really there were a couple, we documented the whole thing, and there were a couple moments in the studio where we're like, yes, that is
and drums.
That's like a hit song,
drums were really fun.
And the drums were amazing. Noah Levy drummed on it. He's like
he's Brian Setzer's drummer. So, he's friends with John Fields from way back. So he's like, yeah, I'll do that for kicks.
And it also was like a record where I got to record like so much of it that it felt like really personal for me. Like, and that's
you grew as an engineer and a producer too. To get to that point,
just all these things, kind of came together. My only gripe about that album is that I feel like the tour cycle for it just got cut halfway through.
We weren't done. That album didn't get to do what I think it deserved.
Like we didn't get to take that album to England. We didn't get to take that album on like a second round of the US. We didn't get to do the Pacific Northwest or the West Coast with that album.
No.
It's
kind of nuts.
There are a lot of things that like normally would be part of the program.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to make more music videos for it.
Yeah, they're like no videos.
I still feel like it's gonna be a challenge to follow that album up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's definitely an imposing. I mean, we're definitely more mature now than we were when Because I'm Awesome happened, and we were in kind of that position.
Yeah.
But I feel like that album did really well,
Yeah.
And, I mean, and also it's like things like happened with that one that made us realize that like the scope of the reach of our band was just becoming more apparent. It's like Elton John featured one of the songs on his podcast.
Oh, really?
Out of the blue.
We were like,
we're like,
Mom,
Kelly and Louis.
Wow.
You know, it's like
Yeah, he talked
he was,
about it.
talking-
Like
well, he
Elton
wasn't
John
on the
said our
phone. Why did I do a
names.
phone? No, he's like had a microphone.
That's awesome.
It was-
You had no idea beforehand. That's so cool.
No, it's like Nikki Sixx posted a thing of like our song on like his story or whatever with
Yeah, it
like
was
an
like-
exercising person. It's like,
like, oh
we're
my God,
exercising
like-
to the record. You know, it's like it just
It's like our band's finally like
like,
getting out
wait,
further.
hold on a second.
And then
That's
it
so
all
cool.
ended.
You know, but we're, you know, that's the challenge now. It's like we have to put. It's like what are we feeling now?
Yeah.
After that, you know,
Gotcha.
how do we go somewhere from that? And
Time will
But-
tell.
yeah,
Well, I'm going to play 2 songs from that album. What can you tell us about the song and the video for Everything?
Oh, it's everything. We filmed that one on tour at one of our favorite venues that we've been playing our whole career, pretty
Yeah.
much.
the Melody Inn in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So it's this little dive, and every time we tour, no matter what,
We always play
we
there.
always play there.
They
because
always have us.
we have
Nice.
so much fun. Like it's so small, and the stage is just, you know, it's just high enough. But yeah, so we decided to film the video
We're like,
there.
let's do it there.
Yeah,
Um,
That's cool.
But yeah, it's cool because it shows behind the scenes of tour too. And you know, I mean, that song is kind of just where we're at in life. It's about us, it's about the kids, it's about the fans, you know, the whole experience. It's about our tour crew
yeah.
who you can see like caring for our kids throughout that whole thing. You know, it's just really cool. It shows the extended family.
It
and-
just like it came together really like
Yeah.
it was just tour footage. And then when we were in Indianapolis, I was like, a friend of ours was along, Jeff Mosey.
Yeah.
He's taken a lot
he
of
documented all of the stuff in the studio when anything in snow. It's
Oh, okay.
also
Yeah.
Jeff Mosey.
So
Gotcha.
Jeff, he's really brilliant. He's from Minneapolis. We like kidnapped him in Minneapolis,
We-
and he was
We had to stop and buy him underwear, deodorant. Like
literally took him from the show and dragged him with. So we ended up in Indianapolis, and he was flying out the next morning. And I was like, dude, what if we just did a music video before you fly out?
Yeah.
And so we
So
talked about
after
it.
the set, we were like,
Af-
all right, everybody, we're gonna play this song 2 times, make a music video. Are you down? Everyone's like, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So
so we
Kelly,
did.
you like fell off a table. Like,
Yeah, well, we had been in a car accident and both had like disc issues.
Oh,
And that tour, like, I was in a lot of pain. Like, I was wearing like a neck brace and stuff. But it was the end of a show. My endorphins were going. Like, I was like, everything is great. And I like jumped from one table to the next, and the tabletop wasn't
Oh, man.
on the base, and it went boom. And I totally busted my butt. But I think it kind of whacked things into place.
there you go.
And I felt so much better for like a week.
Just
like
did your own chiropractic adjustment.
Yeah, it was amazing.
all you gotta do is go dancing on tables.
We
and
should-
make a video.
That we didn't put that is on the video. We haven't ever released it. We should sell it as an NFT. Me like falling off the table.
That's
Like,
awesome. Well, here is the video for Everything by the Dolly Rods. Thank you.
Hey, can I make a promise? Easy to make to you. Can I just be honest? Give you the damn truth. I gotta tell you now. I gotta get it out. I'm counting up and down, counting on you. I'll go with you to your favorite shows. Call you pet names, no
Hey, look who's here. Making an appearance.
The last video I want to play from that album is Animal. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, that was so much fun.
Oh,
And your dog showed up just in time.
Yeah.
Time. That was another example of we ended a tour in California, and the day before, I think it was the day before, we had played in LA. So it was like our homecoming show, because LA, even though we now live in Florida mainly,
You're
LA is
tired,
like our
buddy.
spiritual home because that's where the band happened. So LA is always our homecoming show, and we played the night before, and a friend of ours from, I guess it was like Illinois.
Yeah.
He came out and they filmed it, and we just had this idea of let's just go like.
Both he and his son. His son lived in LA, so
Yeah.
he flew out.
Yeah, and we had this idea of like, all right, it was another case of like, all right, we have a limited budget, we have one day, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And we had a bunny suit.
And we had our friend's house with a nice backyard.
So it was like, let's have the bunny go and just cause a ruckus like on Hollywood Boulevard and in the subway and just like in all the
And
LA.
they were kind of nervous because they were like, we don't have permits, we're gonna get in trouble. We were like, here, let's pop into this bar and have a couple shots of whiskey, and then let's do this. And that's what we did.
That's
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was just fun.
It's very familiar for us doing
Well, yeah,
things in LA.
it starts in our neighborhood where our apartment is, and
Oh,
so
cool.
it's actually, the bunny is taking the route that the two of us used to take all the time. We would take the subway
Oh,
to
that's cool.
like up to Hollywood, and then we would hang out and be idiots. And so it's true story, and it's an
That's
actual
awesome.
true trajectory.
Basically living vicariously through the bunny.
Yeah.
The bunny is like
Nice.
a kind of a metaphor for going out in LA. So yeah, because that's what you do. You act like an animal.
Look at this.
Very cool. So I'll play that for you guys. So here's Animal by the Dolly Rots.
Got my windows down, the pedal to the ground. 'Cause tonight I'm going wild, wild, wild. I got my jam on repeat. I'm turning left on 6th Street. Everybody tonight going wild, wild, wild. 'Cause she's got to go. Set her free like a caged animal. Yeah, she's got to go. Set her free like an animal. Sweaty bodies pumping, eyes both beaming. Won't believe it tomorrow, so wild, wild, wild. Let's face this moment, nobody's judging. Be who you wanna be, wild, wild, wild. 'Cause she's got to go. Set her free like a caged animal. Yeah, she's got to go. Set her free like an animal. Just another lock, open the door. Just walk outside, get in the car. Go where you want and find your freedom. Be who I'm gonna be. Think what you think of me. 'Cause I couldn't care less if I died. So call me freaky, call me trashy. Oh, I couldn't care less if I died. 'Cause she's got to go. Set her free like a caged animal. Yeah, she's got to go. Set her free like an animal. Just another lock, open the door. Just walk outside, get in the car. Go where you want and find your freedom. Just another lock, open the door. Just walk outside, get in the car. Go where you want and find your freedom.
So welcome back to the show. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But there's one thing I did want to point out for the viewers to go and look up, and that's because Kelly, you were quoted as saying, "Kiss or Kill was probably the most important thing in us becoming the band who we are now."
Yeah, very much so.
And you guys are in a documentary called "In Heaven There Is No Beer." So for those watching, definitely go watch that. You'll thank me later.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
And it might
too.
It's on it's Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's not on Netflix anymore.
Oh, it used to be on Netflix.
Lewis, you said in an interview from 2018 that touring with kids makes you play better live because of all the extra effort that it takes to put into it, and that you guys appreciate the shows more. So it sounds like you guys are really excited. It's a great time for your music. What can fans expect for this year?
Well, it won't be a COVID album.
We're not gonna write
Not talking anything about it.
quarantine.
No.
Like we're gonna try to stay away from like that because I think it's important to be the opposite.
We've always made it a point of the band to bring positivity and happiness and fun.
I mean, it could still be
And-
snarky, but like,
Oh yeah, I mean it's going to be sarcastic because we are who we are. But you know, it'll be a Dolly Rots record, a
Yeah.
really good.
And the thing is, like, we're super motivated because we know the touring is on the horizon. We know the dates are.
Yeah,
coming
now
together.
we're excited.
We know that like there's
Gotcha.
something to work towards, and that's kind of what was taken away, because for us it's like the live show is the payoff in a lot of
It's
ways.
our reward.
It's like our reward for doing. For putting the music together and releasing it and doing all that. It's like being able to go out and actually play it and
and meet the people and hug the people and
to do it, to feel that energy. And
Yeah.
so without that there, it was like, well, what's the point of writing and recording and releasing anything if it's all going to be going out into a vacuum?
Yeah.
You know, so now that we know the dates are happening, now that we know that, like, you know, I mean, we've got our system, we've got our crew, we got like everything we need to like go out there, and we have a dog.
And chickens.
He's not coming on the road. He's staying home. But and our kids are really eager to go out too.
our poor kids, they're so used to traveling all the time.
Yeah. So-
Like our Daisy, she was 3 years old. She would wake up sometimes and be like, "When are we going to the airport again?" You know, or like,
Yeah.
are we going on an airplane? You know, even now, River's like, "Can we just go sleep in a hotel just one night?"
yeah.
Because it's part of who they are.
I mean, he's
That's-
been on the road since he was, 3 weeks old. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, for us, I think it's just going to be we're going to work towards it being, a big sort of like payoff. And I think having had time to step back a little, it really makes you appreciate it, that much more.
Definitely.
As much as like, there've been times during the course of like our band where, we've had to like reassess like how we're going to approach it. It's like, it might be exactly the same. It could be radically different. We don't know, because
we don't know till we do it.
we're not in control of what the songs are going to be or how things are going to go. We're just going to do our best.
Very nice. Well, I always end my show asking the same question, but it's going to be a little special for you because we talked about how, like, Kelly, when you were meeting Joan Jett, you were so starstruck. Well, now in that story, you guys are the Joan Jett. So what would you like to say to your fans?
Oh, thank you. Like the sincerest thank you, because without our fans, then there'd be no reason to do this,
Yeah. I mean, like, if anything, like, we just wish we could do more all the time.
Yeah.
We want people to like understand that we're always going to like do our best. And,
Yeah.
And that's
And
basically it.
please reach out. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, we're the ones answering everything, and
There's no
doing
barrier.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
we're there
Yeah.
for our fans, and
Awesome.
they're there for us.
Yeah, and we like massively appreciate it, because we
Yeah.
know that like if we put something out there, that there are enough people that really love it, that it gives us the ability to go out and really support it, do stuff with it. And so
Yeah.
just having that latitude to be able to like fend for ourselves and not rely on a label or a marketing company or whatever, it's because of the fans. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Well,
thank
very
you.
cool. Well, guys, I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. For
Yeah,
those watching at home, I will have a link down and below where you can follow all the social media for the Dolly Rots. Please tune in next week when we have a new band. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You got it,
You
dude.
too.
Thanks for having us.